A roadside diner opens precisely at 10 p.m. Its sign glows dimly red, flickering like a dying ember. Locals pass by but never stop. The place is not on any map. It does not appear in satellite photos. Yet every night, someone enters. None of them return the same. This is not urban legend or internet fiction. A seasoned investigative journalist named Peter Hall went in. He wore a body cam. He documented everything, until the humming began. Authorities called it malfunction. Audio experts heard nothing. But if you listen closely, you will hear it too. What happens when you cannot trust your senses? When silence becomes unbearable sound. This diner hides something older than the land it sits on. If you think you are ready for the truth, stay with me. What follows is not just a story, it is a warning. When you hear the humming, close your eyes. No matter what. Peter Hall had been chasing strange stories for 17 years. He covered ghost towns, secret cults, government silencing, and every conspiracy theory that brushed against credibility. He had a rule: never investigate a lead without a personal source. The diner broke that rule. It started with an email. No sender. No subject line. Just one sentence. Go to mile marker 113. Wait until 10 p.m. The diner appears then. Attached was a photo. Blurry. Rain-streaked windshield. But there it was. A red neon sign barely visible in fog. Betty's Diner, it read, though no such business existed on any registry. Peter searched databases, called local authorities, even sent a drone. No structure stood near mile marker 113. 3 days later, he received a package. No return address. Inside was a Polaroid photo of himself, sleeping in his apartment. A sticky note attached read, "You are already invited. Finish the story." He packed his bag. The road stretched for miles, unbroken except for the endless chorus of cicadas in the dark. Peter reached the marker at 9:42 p.m. There was no one in sight. Just asphalt, pine trees, and the endless black above. He parked his car, turned on his body camera, and spoke into the mic. 9:43 p.m. Mile marker 113. There is nothing here. But at 9:59, a sharp static crackled through the mic. The temperature dropped. Even through the sealed windows, Peter's breath fogged the windshield. Then the neon light blinked into existence. No buildup. No slow fade. Just instant presence. The diner stood 20 feet from his car. It looked like it belonged in a black and white film. Chrome siding. A curved roof. Booths visible through the windows. A woman in a server's uniform stood behind the counter, motionless. Peter stepped out. His footsteps sounded too loud. The door creaked as he pushed it open. A bell chimed above. Not the cheerful kind. This one sounded like a piano string snapping under pressure. "Welcome to Betty's," the woman said. Her name tag read Linda. Her voice was pleasant, but her expression never changed. She did not blink. Her eyes looked painted on. Peter nodded and took a booth near the back. The walls were covered in faded photos. Black and white faces. None smiling. He scanned the room. Empty, except for one man sitting at the counter, hunched over a coffee cup. He was wearing a flannel jacket and had no face. Not a blurred face. Not one hidden by shadow. A flat stretch of skin where his features should be. Peter blinked. The man was gone. Linda approached. "The usual?" she asked. Peter shook his head. "I am new." Her smile faltered. Just slightly. Then returned. Linda brought him a cup of coffee without being asked. It steamed unnaturally, despite the room being cold. Peter reached for the sugar. The packet crumbled in his hand. Inside was not sugar but fine gray ash. He looked up. Linda stood beside the booth, watching. "The air is dry," she said. "Packets go stale fast." Peter forced a laugh. "Right." He turned to check his camera. The timestamp jumped back 10 minutes. He rewound. The footage played normally until the point he saw the faceless man. At that moment, the video warped, glitched, and cut to static. He flipped the screen shut. The humming started. Faint. Mechanical. Like an old refrigerator, except it moved. Shifted pitch. circled the room like an invisible insect. Linda whispered, "You need to close your eyes now." Peter froze. "What happens if I do not?" "You will see what the others saw." Peter had never heard a sound so alive. The humming was no longer just a noise. It felt like a presence. It slithered through the diner like invisible fog, wrapping around his ribs, vibrating inside his teeth. Linda remained still. Her eyes flicked once, toward the ceiling, then back at him. "Close them," she whispered. Peter narrowed his eyes instead. He would not blink. Not yet. The lights overhead pulsed once. Not a flicker. Pulse like a heartbeat. Booth lights dimmed and returned, but something in the reflection shifted. Peter slowly turned toward the window. There were now 5 people sitting at tables. No one had entered. Their heads were bowed, hair dripping wet, as though they had emerged from a storm. None moved. Peter reached for his recorder. 10:09 p.m. 5 occupants have appeared. They were not here before. Their clothes are soaked. Their faces are not correct. He zoomed in. Their mouths were sealed shut. Skin covered their lips like wax poured over a candle. Yet they breathed. Shallow. Uneven. Linda leaned in, speaking so softly it felt like the words were placed in his brain. They did not close their eyes. Now they listened forever. Peter stood, backing away toward the door. His fingers reached the knob. A second humming started. This one came from beneath the floorboards. It was not mechanical. It sounded like singing. From beneath, he turned to run. The door would not budge. Outside, the road was gone. Only darkness now. Black as ink. The kind that drowns stars. Peter pounded on the glass. The humming grew louder, then stopped. A voice from the back of the diner, raspy and low, spoke one word. "Sit." Peter turned. The faceless man was back. Sitting in the same stool, cup untouched. His head turned slowly toward Peter. No eyes, yet Peter felt seen. Linda's smile was different now. "Stressed? Wrong. You sat once. You will sit again." Peter sat down. Not out of fear, but because his knees could no longer hold him. Linda poured another cup of coffee. The steam curled upward, spelling shapes Peter could not understand. Letters, but not from any human alphabet. "I did not want this job either," Linda said, staring into the coffee. "But once you serve, you do not leave." Peter swallowed. "Are you trapped here?" She nodded. "We all are. Except the ones below. They are not trapped. They are fed." Peter looked down. The floor vibrated. The humming had returned, but now it harmonized. Low voices joined it. A wordless choir. "I followed a girl," Linda continued. "Her name was Abigail. I was 17. She dared me to come here. That was 1954. Peter blinked. "That is impossible. I have not aged. Not truly. I serve. That is how I stay human." Peter looked around again. The 5 drowned people had turned their heads toward him. Still seated. Eyes open. Their sealed mouths twitching. "They want you to join them," Linda whispered. Peter stood. "I want answers." Linda's hand gripped his wrist. Her nails were sharper than human. "There are no answers. Only rules. Follow them and survive. Break them and—" She trailed off. The ceiling cracked. A single droplet of black liquid hit the table. It sizzled. Peter pulled back. "What is that?" Linda did not answer. Instead, she said, "The second rule is never drink the coffee after midnight." He looked at his watch. 12:01 a.m. The coffee cup hissed. The liquid inside turned from black to deep crimson. It began to bubble like something alive. Peter stood, knocking the cup to the floor. The humming became deafening. Then, silence. Total. Smothering. Every light went out. Only the neon sign remained, glowing from outside the window. But now it read, "Diner closed. Feeding below." The neon glow outside blinked once, twice, then held steady. Inside the diner, nothing moved. The 5 soaked figures sat perfectly still. Linda stood behind the counter, her body frozen as if someone had pressed pause on her soul. Peter remained standing. Every instinct screamed to run, to break the windows, to scream for help, but where would he go? The road was gone. The night outside looked too thick to breathe. Then something scraped beneath his feet. A metal grinding sound, directly under his booth. He stepped back, eyes locked on the black and white tiles below. With a sharp hiss of air and a metallic groan, the floor opened. A hatch, seamless before, now exposed a narrow stairway leading down into pitch blackness. Linda's voice returned, but it was no longer calm. It trembled. "You have been chosen for service," she said. "Only a few ever go below. Fewer return." Peter's hands shook, but his voice held firm. "What is down there?" She did not answer directly. "Rule 5, she said instead. "When the hatch opens, you descend. Or you stay. Forever." The faceless man lifted his head. Peter took a breath, gripped the edge of the hatch, and stepped down into the dark. The stairs felt endless. Each step echoed behind him longer than the last, as though time itself stretched thinner with every descent. Peter's flashlight flickered, casting shadows that moved before he did. The air thickened, no longer oxygen, but something denser, humid, alive. He reached the bottom. The room was massive, cathedral-sized. Walls lined with mirrors, but none reflected his face. Instead, they showed other diners, people he had never seen, screaming, eyes bloodshot, hands pressed to glass from the other side. Then came the low chant. From behind one of the walls, a crowd began humming. This was not the same gentle hum from before. It was choral, heavy, layered with thousands of overlapping voices, some human, others not. Peter clutched his camera. Then the voice returned. Not Linda's. Not any he had heard before. It came from everywhere and nowhere. "You brought the eye. The world above will forget you now." A door appeared in the far wall, carved from bone-white stone. He stepped through. Inside was a small room. A diner booth, identical to the one above, except the table was covered in items. Wallets, rings, old phones, crumpled receipts. Belongings of others. All abandoned. A journal lay open. He picked it up. The name on the first page, Abigail Green, 1954. Inside were pages written in different handwritings, some in blood, others in smeared graphite. All told the same message. "We stayed too long. We opened our eyes. Forgive us." One final page was blank, except for a single red dot in the center. Peter looked up. The mirrors surrounding the room began to twist. His own reflection finally appeared, but it moved 1 second behind him. Then it smiled. He did not. The humming returned. Louder. Deeper. Closer. Peter ran. Up the stairs. 2 at a time. But the diner above had changed. Booths were gone. Windows shattered. The walls melted inwards like wax. Linda stood by the counter, her server uniform now soaked in blood. Her smile wider than her face could hold. "You stayed too long," she said. Peter ran to the door. It opened this time. He stumbled into the street. But the world had changed. The sky was not black. It was crimson, veined like a beating heart. The stars spun like dying embers. The road stretched behind him, endless and unfamiliar. His car was gone. The sign above the diner still flickered, but the letters had changed once more. Now it read, "Welcome back." Peter screamed, but no sound came. He turned to run again, but the humming followed. Not from the diner. From inside his own ears. It whispered rules. Rules he had never read. Rules made only for him. He collapsed by the roadside, clutching his head, eyes shut tight. Then came the final whisper. "You are the next server." A year later, a gas station attendant named Marcus discovered a weather-worn backpack near an abandoned mile marker. Inside was a camera. The footage was corrupted, except for one clean file. It shows Peter Hall, sitting at the very booth in the 10 p.m. diner. His eyes are open, wide, and unblinking. He speaks clearly. "My name is Peter Hall. If you are seeing this, then the diner let the footage out. I do not know where I am. I do not know if I ever left. But if you find this tape, do one thing for me." His expression changes. The confident journalist is gone. He is trembling. When the humming starts, close your eyes. Please. That is all I ask. It is not just a sound. It is a key to something that wants to live in you. He pauses, then leans closer. His voice drops to a whisper. And if you see me again, on the road, in a crowd, in a mirror, do not speak to me. I am not Peter anymore. The tape ends in static. No one ever found his body. But at exactly 10 p.m. every night, the neon lights of Betty's diner flicker on near mile marker 113. Sometimes the door opens. Sometimes someone goes in. Sometimes they come back. But never the same. And always humming.